It's funny seeing you in the Star Trek shirt makes me feel like I should be wearing a Star Trek shirt every time.
You are?
So I am, but I only have literally one other one, so I need to invest.
Hail them. Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies open.
They're hailing us, sir.
On screen.
Hello and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we are trekking through the past and future of Star Trek. As always, I'm your host, and it has been a while. We're recording this in August 2022. The last time we recorded, I think, was June 2021. So we took a little hiatus. And we are happy to be back. And I have some very exciting news. You'll remember this friend of the podcast who has joined us before as a guest. He is now joining us as a co-host. I'd like to welcome aboard Damian.
Yay, thank you. So excited.
We thought we would record a quick episode just kind of introducing Damian. Unfortunately, Aaron and Ben were not available this evening, so it's just me, one-on-one, like William Shatner's Raw Nerve. I don't think anyone watched Raw Nerve, but it was his one-on-one interview show.
I said this podcast with just us is the equivalent of Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Zahn only.
Deep cut.
Deep cut.
Okay, well, I'm just going to jump in. I in the 5 minutes before this recording, when we decided to do this, I jotted down some questions. So let's just start with what is your Star Trek meet cute? Do you know what a meet cute is?
Yeah. Do you know my meet cute was the animated series on Nickelodeon when I was third grade.
Amazing.
It was. I started watching the animated series. I was really into it. And there was a kid who I grew up with who was like, that on Fox 68 WSYT, the real Star Trek is on every weeknight at 6:00. And so my first real Star Trek was actually the original series.
Nice.
And as soon as I watched enough to become obsessed, they started advertising The Next Generation, coming out new.
Wow. You jumped in.
Oh my God, I just discovered this new thing that I love. And now there's new episodes all of a sudden. So I was newly a Star Trek fan already in the months preceding Encounter at Farpoint.
That's awesome. So have you rewatched the animated series as an adult?
Yes. So my issue with the animated series is that it is a very sleepy experience for me. So I kind of just resign myself to that. So it's like if I am concerned that I won't be able to fall asleep, I will put on the animated. I have a hard time with it.
It's honest. I know 3 different friends who ironically watch Friends every night to fall asleep. It's their fall asleep show, which I don't know why Friends, but it's true. It's more than one person. I've heard some people watch The Golden Girls to fall asleep.
Yeah, the Friends and Golden Girls are they're comforting things that sort of reaffirm your pre-existing values. You know?
Right.
not too challenging. Yeah,
no drama. Sure. I mean, there's drama, but no real drama. It's all going to get resolved in 24 minutes. You know. Mm-hmm. I like that. I remember my first Star Trek, not that I'm going to answer all of these questions as well,
please do.
was The Next Generation. And I remember my dad being excited because there was this new Star Trek. And so we watched it and I liked it in that first season, amazingly. And it made me want to watch the original series. So then the local Fox affiliate started showing reruns of the original series. And then I found the animated series, which was running on Nickelodeon. So I kind of discovered them all at the same time, but really TNG was the first for me.
Yeah. And I obsess over every episode. I loved every episode that came out there, even ones that as an adult, I can now recognize were objectively terrible.
Yes.
At the time really loved them.
Yeah. I remember loving Arsenal of Freedom, which is a terrible first season episode.
I can actually a little bit defend that episode. I don't want to steer us off track. It's like degrees of terrible, but yes.
Yes. Just the like flying like pantyhose containers that like, zip around.
Legs,
right?
yes.
The legs eggs. Did you ever own, or do you currently own, any Star Trek action figures?
I'm not a big action figure person, but I was, because people knew that I was into Star Trek, I was often gifted them. So, and I remember being a teenager, like just in my, like I went through that phase where I was like, maybe Star Trek is like kind of an uncool thing to be into, and I need to be into other things, which is like, late high school into college. And then of course I came back around, but I was like just starting to like move away from Star Trek, and like a close family friend gifted me a Mr. Sulu.
Oh,
which was very sweet. And then their daughter was like, Mr. Sulu, why Mr. Sulu? Which is kind of correct. Like there was no reason. I mean, Sulu is, all big George Takei fans.
Right. I mean, he wasn't out yet at that point. So it's not even like they gave you the gay one.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So it was like it was just an odd choice at the time. Like little did we know that,
right.
Later on in life, I've come to appreciate George Takei.
Oh my.
And stuff, but yeah, it's so but yes, and I have also I do own the complete Next Generation cast as Pez dispensers, which my boyfriend has spent many years inexplicably resenting those Pez dispensers. Like, why do we have to have them? You never use them. You're not a collector. And so he, during the pandemic, built a hanging coat rack, and he beheaded all of the Pez dispensers, painted them gold, and turned them into the hooks for the coat rack.
Oh, well, that's a cute idea.
It is very cute, and it is like subtle, like it is, like we said, it's kind of a deep cut. Like most people don't notice it, but it is literally the only way that he could have gotten away with beheading all of my Pez dispensers.
Someone gifted me that Pez dispenser set while I was doing the Christmas show, which listeners, Damian and I both worked on this touring Christmas show for a few years. He still works at that company. I don't really reveal that, but in my desk in the little stage management office, I had the Next Generation Pez dispensers set up as a nativity. So, if I remember, Riker and Troy were, Joseph and Mary, and I think maybe there wasn't a baby to begin with, because it doesn't arrive until Christmas, and Data and Geordi and Worf were the three wise men. And then I took the little Pez, like the actual candies, and made them like their gifts. Way too much thought went into this. These are the kinds of things that happen when you're on tour.
I know those things well. Yes.
Somewhere there's a picture.
I've done bunch of similar, but definitely off-topic things in my own career.
All right, let's move through our list here. Oh, let's talk about, as we're recording this, the Star Trek Las Vegas convention, which isn't called that anymore. I think it's the 56-year mission because they lost the rights to the name, is just wrapping up. Have you ever been to a sci-fi or Star Trek convention or Comic-Con? And if so, what's your best convention story?
I don't know if this is my best convention. My first one was Nichelle Nichols, quite appropriately. May she rest in peace, as she just recently passed. And so I definitely had like a strong sentimental reaction to that news.
Absolutely.
And I was a huge Uhura fan, which
Me too.
And why? I mean, as an adult, I'm like, boy, the uncomfortable truth is that she was really robbed of so many good things to do.
Absolutely.
But she was, as many of us know, she was primarily a singer when she started out. Mm-hmm. And so at her convention appearances, she used to take advantage of the opportunity to sing.
Of course.
And I remember just as she was about to sing, there was like a pair of like teenage girls who got up to use the bathroom, and she stopped the entire thing and called them out and was like, "You need to wait until I'm done singing."
She had like a Patti LuPone moment.
Yes. Yes. And my next one was definitely Jonathan Frakes. And I definitely went with a friend. And true to form, my parents were very late to pick me up. The convention was well over. Oh. And the autograph line had dispersed. And I definitely sat in his chair that he had signed autographs in while I waited for my parents.
Oh my gosh. Of course you did.
I've never been to a convention as an adult. And I kind of feel like the time is coming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's make it happen. I saw Nichelle Nichols at a convention in probably like 2010, 2011. And I don't think she had her stroke yet, but she was starting to struggle a little bit. So the guy who runs the creation conventions sat on stage with her and kind of interviewed her. So he really was just prompting her to tell the stories that she has told over and over again for years and years. And once she would get going with one, she was amazing. I mean, she was just, but you could tell she was tired. And I felt bad for her. She was sitting there signing autographs for so long. But yeah, she was just a bright light. She really was. She was really a special person.
Well, and they say that even towards the end, it was only her short-term memory that she had trouble with, so that she could tell all those old stories like they were brand new, like into Always.
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, when I got up to in line to get her autograph, I had a copy of her autobiography from the 90s, which I had her sign, and she started to write with a Sharpie and then stopped because she didn't want to. She thought it would bleed through the pages. So she switched to a pen. And anyway, I asked her, because she talked about how she wanted to be on Broadway originally. And I said, while you're in town, because this was in New York, I was like, while you're in town, have you seen any Broadway shows? And she was so distracted by the marker pen thing that I think she completely forgot that I'd said that. So then I asked again, and she said no. And I was like, oh, so that story's a little anticlimactic. But you could tell.
Or maybe she did and she forgot.
Maybe. I'm like, you live in LA, you come all the way to New York. You wanted to be on Broadway. See a Broadway show. I bet she did. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Oh, if you could have dinner with 3 characters, not the actors, the characters, who would they be and why?
Oh gosh. I mean, it's got to be all next generation people, I mean, that is really
your bread and butter.
My bread and butter. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's got to be Data.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't eat, but
Yeah. Well,
actually, I think he can eat.
So you're going to finish that? You don't really do that. Data. And I don't know. I feel like I couldn't pass up the opportunity to dine with Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, right, at the captain's table, right?
Yeah. And gosh, I mean, the third would be, I don't know, like I have a strong attachment to Worf, but I'm also like the reality of dinner, like.
Right. Would he be eating gach, and would it be disgusting?
Well, let's make it interesting. Let's say Q.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's great. Who knows what you'll end up doing? You start with dinner, you could end up, in a Robin Hood novel or something. I thought for sure you were going to say Deanna Troi. And I think that's just because I'm obsessed with chocolate and the way she is.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say Guinan.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like she just sets everybody at ease. She's got like 700 years of stories to tell.
Such a good listener.
A good listener.
That's great.
Makes everyone feel important.
What do you think about young Guinan in Picard?
Listen, you're going to find that I am so excited to be getting so much new Trek that I am a defender of new Trek.
That's fine. That's great.
I think she's great.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved seeing, like the San Francisco 1890s Guinan. I had a little sort of like, brain issue trying to reconcile all of that, but I think I kind of finally got on board. But, I loved that she was, not the Guinan that we knew.
Yeah.
And that she pulled a gun in Picard, all of that.
I like that she seems fed up with Earth, and we're making these terrible decisions about the environment, and we're, you know what I mean? Like she keeps, I thought that was really fascinating. And she wouldn't have necessarily gotten to that place in the Mark Twain time. So the fact that it made sense to me. I really thought it was great.
Well, and it's the first thing that, that we, we get a Guinan that experiences humans like as a Black woman.
Right.
Because like, we're so like post-racial in Star Trek in so many ways that like take her back to the 21st century. Like you can't get that then in that time period. Right. So it was like, so there was like this like Blackness of Guinan that you just don't necessarily get in the same way in the future, that she has this different experience of humans because of her skin color. That's not something that, that we hear her talk about in Next Generation or anyone really, So I thought that was a really cool take on it. Like, if you're going to take us to present day, like do it fearlessly that way. So
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I like that. If you were to live in the 24th century, what would your life be like? You're living in a post-scarcity society, so you don't have to work, but being lazy is really frowned upon.
Yeah, listen, I have struggled with this question, and I don't know that I have a good answer, because would I be a Starfleet hero? I don't know that I would be. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm a huge Deep Space Nine fan. I feel like I would love to live in the thick of all of that craziness and be like that. So the whole edge of the frontier kind of vibe. But what would I do? I honestly don't freaking know. I don't know. Like the Jake Sisko reporter life, maybe, but I don't know that I actually would be in Starfleet. Like, just like right now, I'm like, what skills do I have? I don't really know. Job, do I have skills?
That's funny.
I feel like I would love to live in that some kind of like riffraffy kind of place like Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Well, and it just people watching on the promenade, or it would be fascinating because you are a writer. So, I mean, I think
theoretically, yes, I am. Yeah.
not a Jake Sisko reporter writer, but I think that's part of what he liked. I like that about the character, that they made him a writer, because in the early seasons, he liked just sitting there watching people and observing what was going on in the promenade. And that made sense that he would have this curiosity and then go on to be a writer. And
I feel like with the ability to like travel all over space, I would have to find some way to do that because it's there and it's available and it's, much easier than like, in the Enterprise era.
Right.
It's like the holodeck, you can do anything you want.
Well, speaking of, if you had a holodeck, what program would be your favorite?
Oh gosh. I recently learned on my vacation that I have an endless attention span for sitting on the beach and doing nothing. So maybe one of those like Geordie LaForge, like unsuccessful romantic evening places. Like I think I would love to, but I think that also actually Da Vinci wouldn't be my choice, but Janeway's historical interests, like to be able to like go back and like,
hang out with Shakespeare or
like ancient Roman time. I'm a big history buff that way, so I'm into all of those. Those things I would love to, or like all the
it would be fun
War of the Roses, medieval. I would probably get into some of those, but turn on the safeties, please. I'm not
Yes.
to like get trapped in a holodeck in a medieval, hell.
It's funny. I was listening to Justin Long's podcast, and that's actually kind of where I got this idea to like do some questions, because he does this like question thing with every guest at the end. And one of the ones he always asks is, if you had a time machine, but that could only go one direction, would you want to go to the future or the past? And he said that a lot of people of color don't choose the past. Right. And I think, members of the, queer community would not choose the past, but so I don't know that I would.
Ancient Greece.
Back.
I mean,
sure. It depends on how far back you go, but on the holodeck, you could experience any era safely. You could don't even have to be human, and the holodeck characters will recognize you as whatever they want. It would be so exploring the past that way does seem exciting.
Yeah, I mean, though the holodeck is clearly, it is, there's all of, all these things that we don't know about the ancient world, about history, really. Like we fill in the blanks as best we can, and that's all the holodeck would really be. It's conjecture as to what that would be like. But
that's true. Unless the Vulcans were observing us or something, and then filled in the blanks.
I like that idea. I hope they're observing us now.
Right. Of course, I think, honestly, not to get too blue, but I think the holodeck would be used for sex a lot. And they make that joke in Lower Decks when she has to clean the whatever buffer things in the holodeck. And the captain says, do people really use the holodeck for that? And Ransom says, that's mainly what it's used for.
Well, and it's so funny because Deep Space Nine did not shy away from that. But you notice that there was never any indication that the Starfleet people were using it for that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was always like sort of like, the freighter captain from the whatever, sector, stops and uses the like it was some sort, like a thing for like, for people aliens only,
who would gamble and have like looser morals than the uptight Starfleet types, drinking their root beer and I think realistically, again, maybe in the 24th century we'll have evolved to the point where it wouldn't be used that way. Oh, do you watch the Orville?
I've not watched the new season, but I have watched up until the Hulu stuff, which I will watch because I will watch it with Colby.
Yeah,
but we have not found time to do that yet. So
you're very good. The new season is really good. It's less of a comedy than it ever was. But even in that, they have their simulator, which is a holodeck, and Bortus uses it for this like lots of naked people program at one point. But so I like that we've acknowledged that that's kind of what it would be used for a lot. Okay, rapid fire.
All right.
Crusher or Pulaski?
Gosh, that's like Crusher. I mean, this is rapid fire, so I can't follow up. But all
right. Worf's Klingon Tai Chi or Beverly Indiana's leotard yoga?
A leotard yoga.
Tea Earl Grey hot or coffee black?
Coffee black.
If you had a replicator sitting next to you right now, what would you order?
Hot fudge sundae. I don't know why I said that. It's probably not really. I've had a moment to think about it. Probably not what would happen. It's I go to the Deanna Troy probably. Yeah.
Because why not? I mean, even if you don't like it, you can like put it back in the replicator and make it go away. Guinan or Quark?
Guinan. I'm a big Quark fan, though. Also, like I feel like I would want to be. I feel like I would actually be friends with Quark.
Well, who would be the better bartender?
Guinan.
Yeah, Guinan would be. I think
hands down,
better drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because he doesn't actually care about. He's like, he's got other things happening. He just happens to be serving.
The booze is just to get them in the door so that he can,
Mm-hmm. It's a front. Let's be honest. It's a front.
Right. Enterprise A, B, C, or D?
D.
D, yeah.
Always D. I mean, that's just sentimental. I don't know what else to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the last of our rapid fire questions. Yay! I love the D. I think that it's from some angles it looks a little weird, but like I love the D. Well, you know, if the shoe fits. But yeah, I think it's an ingenious design. Yeah, the D. Although the A or the refit is also a beautiful ship.
Yes, and it's funny because I was listening to a critique of the scenic designs of the various enterprises, and it never occurred to me that while they said the D was designed as though it was a real starship, that the A was designed for movies.
Oh, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
That it provided more of a sense of drama, and it's true because you always heard Denise Crosby talking about this that the shot of the Captain and Riker, you just get legs.
Yeah.
You just see that there's a person standing there. You don't actually get the sort of, reactions of the folks around them.
Right. It's less busy, I guess, visually, those shots of the captain and, the three command chairs on the D. You're right. Like just the way they're framed, there's nothing behind them but wood and someone's legs and some purple carpet. I love the idea that they wanted the bridge of the D to look comfortable so that when they meet aliens, they don't look, formidable or militaristic. And there are these great sketches of concepts of the bridge where there were like, ficus trees and, a staircase and a balcony. And,
and I love that our recent Strange New World season 1 finale prompted us all to rewatch Balance of Terror, which is one of my favorite original series episodes. But that it really showed you that you don't get a shot of Captain Pike or the original Captain Kirk where you don't see a character over his shoulder reacting. That you get Uhura in all of those shots, and that it is it offers a lot more camera options that maybe the D, as much as it maybe was more of a real starship.
Yeah, it was probably this is the production brain. Cheaper to film on the TNG set because if you were doing pickups with those actors, you didn't need, you maybe needed Denise Crosby's legs, but you didn't need to pay for the extras in the background. Getting back to what you said about Uhura and how we love her, but she didn't really get much to do. I think that's part of the reason is that her station's right behind Captain Kirk. So she's in frame
every shot and she's reacting.
And she's in red and she had this or has, this screen presence. So that I think, was matching what Shatner was doing. So I think that's really why we love Uhura is the way Nichelle made us love her with the way she, brought our attention.
She's giving you face the entire time, even when she's not speaking. She's
absolutely.
She's engaged and she's almost giving you like the eyes of the audience. Like you watch her reactions and that guides you how to react to the action of what's happening. Yeah. Right.
And she sold the little earpiece. You knew that she was getting information there. It wasn't just like a prop that they gave her. And when she would, run her hands across the console and flip buttons, you knew that she knew what was going on. She had worked that out like the actress had, it wasn't random.
Well, and it's interesting because you hear her talk about what you don't often consider that, she was a lieutenant rank and that in the communications department. And she surely had other people who worked in communications who reported to her. She had a staff.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder if we'll see some of that in Strange New Worlds. I know that Uhura is a cadet, but I wonder if we'll see some more of that like command structure with some extras.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they, how they continue that character in terms of like how she moves up the ranks and
Right.
goes from where she was in season 1 to eventually where we knew her to be.
Yeah. And how quickly will she get there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to do this little intro. And I'm just really happy that you're joining us. And I know that Aaron and Ben are super happy as well.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait till we are all together recording.
Yay. All right. Well, until next time, if you like what you listen to, make sure that you give us a review on wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, rate us, and you can check out our Patreon, and, tell a friend. Until next time, Hailing Frequencies closed.